Oh,
All right, I prepared something on paper before we get into this.
cool. Hey, everybody, today is 2021, and we are here at you please call the roll.
Chairman Simon,
President.
Vice Chair Sanchez,
President.
Councilwoman Vargas is absent, Jenna Lafayette. Present. Kenneth Phillips is absent. We have 3 present and 2 absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Well, welcome everybody to Baby Lopes. We're excited to be here tonight. We're joined by our esteemed Department of Recreation Director, Stephen Grace. So thank you as always for being with us. We have a couple items on the agenda tonight. One's a presentation from the Baby Lopes staff on programming and exciting renovations that are going to be going on in this facility, which I attended a meeting here last week, and some great plans. And then we'll have a presentation from Director Grace on the mayor's proposed budget for next year. And we can talk about and discuss what we want to do with support or feed that in whatever ways we want to. And then we're going to update on soccer and spring programming, and then followed by public comment. So if that sounds good, everybody will dive right into it. And I want to recognize Anthony Lindsay, who is here, who is the director of the Baby Lopes Recreation Center, and Assistant Director Danielle, who is here as well. Before you guys get started, we have been to, at this point, every recreation center except for Baby Lopes and the Super Bowl will probably be the last one we go to. So we are rounding the corner, I think, for. We had made it a point to get into all recreation centers, hear from you guys directly, get tours, so we get a real good sense of what is going on in the department here. I would say before we start that I love this recreation center, except for the fact that you guys beat us in the basketball championship this year. I don't hold that against you too much, but I'm sure that Director Lindsay will get into the phenomenal basketball program that they have here at Baby Lopes that they miss. But all that said, takeaway guys. Before you start though, on behalf of the entire board, I just want to say thank you guys for all that you're doing. I've seen firsthand, the number of kids coming through these doors and the phenomenal job you guys do. Oftentimes limited resources. One of the things that we have been trying to do is to support you guys and give you guys the tools and resources that we possibly can. But we know that it's the lives of the city. You guys really provide incredible services to the community and the city. And so I always start out by just thanking you guys for the work that you guys are doing. It's amazing to see what you guys do, and we're just very appreciative. So thank you, and the floor is yours.
Perfect. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anthony, and I'm the director here. I'm Danielle. We've been proudly serving here at the Baby Lopes Recreation Center for 20 years together, not just as staff, as products of our very own community. We didn't just start working here, we grew up here. This center helped raise us, shape us, and give us purpose. And now we're giving the same purpose back to the next generation that's coming up. At Baby Lopes, we do a lot more than just run sports leagues and summer camps. We build family. We teach kids how to believe in themselves. We host programs that feed, uplift, and empower, whether it's a basketball game, an art class in the park, or just a safe place to be a kid after school. We show up with love, structure, and consistency. Our staff isn't just dedicated, they're living proof that the programs here work. Many of them came through Baby Lopes themselves. They're now college students, student athletes, and young kids in their own right. I wish it was in the front down the hall, but take Marquise McCannon, for example, a former Baby Lopes kid who's now on a full scholarship at the University of Rhode Island, where he's a star wide receiver on the football team for the Rams. Or maybe Savannah Barrios, and then we have our own. Now we're starting to guard at UMass Boston, fully committed to both her education and her game. What makes us proud isn't just where they are now, is that they both came back to work in our home, giving back to the same kids they once got. They come back every single summer. Everything we do is rooted in pride for our people, our neighborhood, and the legacy we inherit from those who came before us. We've taken what the community leaders before us taught us, the values, the discipline, the love, and applied it into our own mission. We're continuing their work in our way, literally the way that we envisioned it, with their lessons always at the heart of what we do. Speaking of dedication, I want to take a moment to recognize, in my opinion, one of the most successful Baby Lopes members, Ms. Danielle. While juggling her responsibilities here and the many she has in her own life, she just graduated this past Saturday with her master's in business administration from Southern University. That degree came with a lot of late nights, sacrifice, and determination. And it's a perfect example of the standard we set not just for our kids, but for ourselves. And I ended this with this line: we're not here to run. We're here to protect and push forward a movement and evolve a legacy.
So today, obviously, like the chair said, we're gonna have the presentation followed by that wonderful opening by Davey Lopes, then the proposed budget, updates on soccer in spring, and then public comment, so.
Yes, these pictures just represent, I feel like, the heart of what we do. We're super involved in the community. We love to put on events for people to come and enjoy themselves. But you can also see there's so many things happening. There's teaching happening. There's teamwork. There's love in here. There's fun. And there's giving back to our community. Yeah, we really take pride in making sure that we're giving the experience that we didn't get when we were kids.
And just to piggyback off of that, like, it looks like a lot, but it really comes so naturally to us now. You know what I mean? And like Anthony said, we have the best team around. I hate to say it, but we really do. Like, it's so effortless. You know what I mean? Like the events that we put on, the programs that we incorporate each day, even from the kickball games that just happened before you guys got here. Like, it's so effortless here. It's like you said, it's more of a home than anything. You know what I mean? And it runs so smooth.
So we did give you guys a little tour, but we do utilize just about every tablet here. Our computer room is used every single day for homework and enrichment programs that Danielle herself has implemented here. And we're just working on, a lot of our kids are in the system, so the reading levels are off, math levels are down. So Danielle is taking it into her own hands, and well, we both did purchase, put down phonics to get some kids, back into the back on track. But also, like we just saw, the kids also use the computer for what they want. In fact, they're having a tournament and some games like this. So yeah, the homework in classroom, down the hallway, we use that every single day. It's mainly occupied by the kids that come from the South Side Elementary Charter School back here. Yeah, our boxes did, which was up and running for a really long time. With this new plan, we know that space right there will be 100% accessible. We'll be able to utilize that to the T. This gym, wow.
Yeah. So much has happened. Graduation parties, you know what I mean, of our staff to. Now this is our first board meeting. So many things happening here, unfortunately, because our spaces in the classroom and the room are so small, we can't move a lot of things in there, so the gym has seen multiple people, has seen multiple events across the board.
And a lot of cities town,
Yeah.
and not just from here, from every regular city. There's so many kids that have made, it's like I can't even begin to start to list the kids, but there's a lot of kids that have come here and learned the game. I don't know if you mentioned it, but Danielle used to play basketball back in the days. Danielle's a two-time defender. But yeah, just giving back in that, but also teaching. Just teaching. That solarium, like I said, we gave the tour. We use it for storage now, but once upon a time, it acted as a weight room, and also, studio to music rooms, they're all having music room. Here's a lot of programs. Where do we start? Yes, we've run all of these programs. We've run out of here, summer reading. A lot of schools don't require summer reading, but we make it mandatory here that kids, once we get in, we find a book, we either do like group books, or we absolutely positively make sure we get a book and get some summer reading done.
And we also incorporate it in the summertime during camp time. We have everybody read. We try to do it every day, but it does get hot in here. Again, this is our biggest space, so if it's to the point where it's unhealthy, then we don't. But if it's to the point where, it's comfortable, and we do try to incorporate reading every day in camp.
Swimming lessons, so we do our own in-house swimming lessons here for our camp. We also offer swimming lessons to the public in surrounding rec centers who do not have pools. Mainly, Ms. Nasha's right down Rollins. We're looking to extend to Sacker Street this year to see if they would like to come over, and another one about Recreation Center jobs, and we know that they're going to do a little patch, so we're gonna be welcoming them in. Athletics.
Before we go there, there's adult swim, we're not.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so well, in the past, way back in the past, we used to bring adults in after pool hours, so they would be able to come in the pool from like 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Of course, things change with different administrations, but just last year, we were able to start adult swim again. I believe that was on, was it Saturday? No, it was Tuesday, Thursday.
Duplo was like Wednesday.
Yeah,
Friday.
we said the opposite, so it was Tuesday, Thursday. I believe the hours were morning hours, they were like super early.
9 to 11.
I would say there were some days we had people, but then there were some days that weren't. I think it would, with planning, it would make more sense to like push it later in the day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like after the pool closes, because I feel like that's when a lot of people work. You always have a ton of people coming from the hospital, like, oh, you know what I mean? So,
Oh, really?
yeah. I think that would be a good thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk a lot about senior programming and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's good to see that. And see that what you guys are
I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea to have 2 sessions.
Right.
You know what I mean? One for the seniors who are retired,
Yep.
Want to exercise, and also an afternoon for the people who do work and get up and,
Yeah.
have that space.
Mhm. And there's some pool party, so we try to do our own. We try to host our own like pool party for the camp kids, and we send invites out. But that's like the most memorable thing for the kids is like kind of close the pool. Not close the pool, but we'll do it before, we'll start at like 10 a.m. and we'll have like a pool party, put speakers out there, and it's just
It's fun.
an experience, right? It's just an experience for them, like, that they've never had. I mean, we started to like, expand and let other reps that come in, so last year we had us, John Rollins and Vincent Brown last year. And the kids have a ball, it's all about the kids, so. Let's see, camp activities. Girl Scouts.
Well, you skipped that last.
Oh, shoot, that's all. Athletics.
Basketball workouts, yeah, so right now I'm kind of currently doing a girls' basketball workout every Wednesday. All ages kind of, I think our youngest is 5 and our oldest is 14. I do separate them though, so I do the younger kids in the first hour, I do the younger kids, in the second hour, we do the older kids, But yeah, it's just basic skill development, they enjoy it. I think the first session is our biggest session, we have about 25 kids. Ms. Nasha does help out with that also, but it's cool. I think we're in our 7th week, so it'll be ending shortly.
And that's just girls?
Just girls, yeah.
With the initiative to just bring more girls
Girls in,
into the
yeah.
rec center. We've been having some issues with them that, well, not us personally, but
Every-
across
Yeah.
the city getting girls to play basketball, so we just figured spark the interest in some kids. We know girls are from different sides of town, so we're constantly feeding people like, you're working out here, but remember when basketball comes, I know you live right near that place, so,
Yeah.
just to make sure we, what is this? Basketball workouts, we generally do like, I don't know how to say it, it's kind of like on the spot things out of season, out of basketball season. Just about all of our staff literally have played basketball. If you look on all of these banners, there's a name up there, Samara Pina, she's sitting at the front desk. But she's, she's one of the top female basketball players that comes out of here. And just, like I said, across the board, they usually just come in and grab the kids and just put something together. Marquise and one of our staff, Kamari, are constantly doing football with the kids in the summer. Like I said, Marquise is at URI, so just teaching them different skills and whatnot.
Is that football camp that's on
Breakfast?
on the sign up or is that?
No, so that usually takes place in the summer camp.
in-
So it's incorporated into our schedule. Yeah.
Community engagement, so at the end of every. Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah, this is the camp activity, this is just the, some stuff that we do in camp. Danielle contacted Girl Scouts of America 2 years ago, and we've built a bridge with them, so we're always doing their programs in the summer. We offer a bunch of different board games. We usually do a crazy weekly obstacle course here that the kids enjoy, scavenger hunts. This culture fest was something that I came up with at the top of my head. Because outside of here, I'm a chef, so I figured. I figured we use this opportunity to kind of spread that amongst the kids and to allow them to see different foods from different cultures. So we host that probably last week in camp. We put up a bunch of flags in here. I believe that there might be a picture next time. We put a bunch of flags up in here. We have a bunch of tables lined with a bunch of food that we get from different vendors that donate. A lot of local places, come through for us for sure. Community engagement, really quick. We came up with this Peace and Love Day block party like 20 years ago.
This will be the third.
This would be the third year, yeah. We just came up with the name Peace and Love because I feel like that's what we give, that's what we, that's what we exude. We do that, when is that? That's the
That's
last
the last day,
day.
it's the Saturday after the last day of camp. So
Yeah.
camp ends on Friday, we're gonna do it
A lot going on at the end of
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a fun filled day. Last year was the first time that we actually joined with the councilwoman to bring the cookouts together. So it was super, super big. We had the pool open that Saturday, 2 bouncy houses out there. We had vendors in the park. Yeah, we had a book bag giveaway, face painting, tie-dye shirts. This is fun. That's actually a picture right there.
Yeah, that's actually, well, that's that.
Yeah, but we've been engaged in our community as much as we can. We often work with the Southside community and interested on the corner, to help with our gardening programs through the seasons. This URI SNAP Ed program, I believe that was brought to us through, but yeah, we're just grateful, we're grateful for all the things that have came through. Okay, feed the streets Thanksgiving, give back, that was the tab that Stephen was pointing to with the food. Every year we try to feed at least 150 homeless people. This year I think it's only 2 and change, because we had 250, we had 250 plates, and I think we ended with like 30 seconds, so it was around like.
Do the kids help out?
Yes, yeah, so I don't know, there's a picture in here somewhere, but we do have 2 kids that donated. Last year we gave, just last year we gave out a bunch of hats and gloves and clothes. We had a really, really big donation from bands, so we were able to distribute over 100 pairs of shoes to people that need. But yeah, we could have caught us that day on Broad Street. We was giving out plates on Broad Street. We went down to Kennedy Plaza. That was really fun, but we also do a bunch of annual holiday parties, so we always have an annual holiday party, a Christmas party, Easter egg hunt that always goes so successful. Art in the Park is actually a program that I created based off of my experience working with the artists that put in the murals on the pool deck. That experience was super transformative for me. I learned a lot of things like about myself, about different people from different places in my community. So I thought, let me put this down on paper and bring it back and do my version of it. So we started that program a while ago, but actually we started. We're just waiting for the weather to go. So we can actually get out and do but yeah, seasonal intramural leagues. We are actually going to host another one. We're doing a 4v4 league here, just another interactive thing for the kids. It's a bunch of different rules. Something just super fun to keep them occupied.
So you just talked.
Yeah. Yeah, over the break that just happened, we worked with Corey Brown, who is a super good community leader. He hosts a summer league every single summer over by the Met, the Corey Brown Summer League, where it's a competitive thing. Like it's not a league. If you do not know what you're doing, like it is not a beginner's summer league. But yeah, Corey came in this year and offered, I believe it was 20 spots to kids in the city. So we went out to each rec and offered them a few spots for kids to come to the camp for free. Just to give them something.
You host that camp here?
Yeah. Center needs, we were asked to give some center needs, so these are the things that we came in with right now. Clearly, for those of you that walk through the building with us, you can see that there's a billion things that we've done. And a lot of those things, I don't know if that's necessary.
But most of these things are gonna be covered on.
Right.
Yeah.
Just about every single thing that we covered in here, I don't know if you guys see this. Share these are just,
Can you send that to me?
yeah, no problem.
Electronically,
Not right now.
yeah,
There's another.
there's another one right there.
Oh, you got it. But yeah, I would say our biggest needs are the ventilation system. We currently do not have sprinklers in the building. Although we have our system, we don't have sprinklers. Pest control kind of sucks in the summer. We're gonna do things to pick it up. We got all these people in here, a lot of people coming in and out. So the trash, pests. Furniture, I can see, chairs, and our front doors that don't open.
Plus,
This is our infographic. So we are at about, and there's definitely more than that, but 257 total members, on the rec desk, so 55.
you want me to explain the difference
Yeah.
to them? So, we're in the middle of of an initiative to convert visitors to members and memberships. That way we can reach them more and kind of send out all the information about what we're doing. And then utilize it for like membership program benefits down the line. So a lot of the directors in recreation centers and Davy Lopes is doing a really good job. You can kind of see like where they went from in December, 55 members to 257. And that's just making sure that we have all the information, you want to contact them. They get a membership number and card. And so that's going to be, pushing our engagement with them in the future. So
that's just literally getting people on the system as members. That's.
yeah, yep. And that's what we're trying to do. So the more, so every month we want to try and convert more. And so out of those memberships, this is the member gender distribution. So we have male, female, and non-binary. So as Anthony mentioned, we're always trying to increase our female membership. And this is their average attendees per day. So this is as of 5/5. So when you look at their average attendees, in January, they were averaging around 80. And then as we got to the end of basketball season, this is kind of between this area is when the center started to close. there was a flood in the basement downstairs that then froze. Because of pipe burst, and so it completely ruined their electrical system, so there's no electricity in the building for a little over a month, and then they literally sprung back in, you know, from March and April, so they're working on getting their kids back right now. So that's kind of the story that this is telling, and then the membership grade distribution. We've been paying attention to this specifically, because this helps us identify of the members, you know, where we need to focus, like should we be focusing on first grade and second grade? You know, where our areas of improvement are. And then when you look at 10th, 11th, or 12th, traditionally, we've serviced like the age 5 to 12. But we have a lot of teenagers who are working here.
High school start working here at that age.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, engagement in general, I think Ms. Nosh is in the crowd and she has a teen center, she has a basketball night for the older kids, which kind of separates them. So a few centers are doing that now to try to increase the teenage engagement as well, so.
Now, do you guys have, is there an after school program here? Does kids get bus here from school or?
So we have a ton of kids from Southside Elementary where it's that walk them over.
Go walk?
Yeah, so but when we were closed, we did go get them and bring them to the location that we was at that moment. But anybody can sign up, but it's tough because we don't provide transportation.
Right.
So if they're at a school across town, it's tough for them to get here if she's at work, so. 100%, not 100, but 90% of them come from Southside. And community work.
And community prep. Yeah. So the one thing we did not talk about is when you guys are gonna be closed down for a while, while renovations are going on, what's the plan for, teaming up with either rec department for your kids over, or the rec center for your kids over, or what are you guys planning to do with it?
We're not sure.
So that's more of a me question, I guess. Kind of talk about what that's gonna look like, so I can talk about it.
What's the timeline for the
The timeline is gonna be very long. We're talking a little over. That the center is gonna be closed and that will start as soon as camp ends. Probably a little bit before too. They're gonna be working on some things in the corner over here while camp is in session because we have a very strict timeline to be able to complete the renovations according to how the rules of the grant that's funding the renovation. So what we're looking at is the first thing you always look at is neighboring centers, right? What are we in close proximity? We've tested that when Igliozzi closed and then they were getting kids over to Jocelyn.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We worked on that with a few locations, but we're gonna have an issue. It's a great issue to have, but it's gonna be an issue. We're gonna have 3 centers that are either gonna be closed or in a new location. So Kennedy is one of them as well. Jocelyn is gonna be closing for a significant time as well for their renovations. So we're talking about 3 centers potentially that we're gonna have to relocate. So that's why it's not as simple.
For a good cause.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, so I mean, in this case, like the front doors, all this stuff is gonna be addressed. Yeah. So we're addressing that with these renovations. So I think it's not a simple, hey, we're just gonna do this. So we're still kind of working out what that's gonna look like because the logistics are gonna be challenging.
Is the timeline for all 3 elections similar?
No, Davy Lopes is gonna be the longest. It's the largest investment, a little under $8.8 million is gonna go to this.
Is it all in the same grant? Are they all in the same federal grant?
Jocelyn is, so that one will be under, but the Kennedy construction is part of the school and the bond fund.
The gym is not being touched in the grant?
No, it's not being touched as part of the renovation through that grant. So in other locations, so for example, Jocelyn, same thing, the gym is not being touched as part of the grant. Councilman Sanchez is helping us out with like doing the floor over at Jocelyn, and we're gonna be doing a couple other things that are coming through different funding sources that we have. We're just waiting, but we're gonna have to wait until obviously like that work is done. So it's a combination. So gyms can't specifically be touched, but everything else in the building.
But we're working. Okay.
The windows in here are super nice.
Those are recent.
Yeah, I believe they said that the only thing that was not getting fixed out there was the window in the house. I mean.
No, I think that, oh, actually, I think your windows are good.
Yeah, they said
Those are actually good windows, yeah.
Well, below renovation, and they, at one point, they brought it up on. But we opened the back, yeah, so it's, get right. Forward, right,
Like that, so I don't know if you noticed the two windows in the corner, it's just like, I don't even know just how to say it. Yeah. But there's no AC and there won't be because they're already gonna touch the gym.
No, so it's not like we can't do a like athletic renovation, but like if, so for like, yes, it can be touched,
HVAC.
yeah. HVAC, you can't just do one portion of it, like it's, yeah.
Any other questions for Anthony?
Well, definitely just appreciate you guys, to make sure that the work on the chair.
If we cycle back through a little over a year from now, we'll sit through doing a tour of some brand new facilities. Well, deserved now, it's communicated out to what they're gonna do with their kids next year. Well, once again, thank you guys for all you do. That was a great presentation. Glad to see the numbers the way that they are and feel that we're gonna be the sky under. We have set a goal as for the program as much as we can, so just like work with you guys and offering as much as we possibly can. Absolutely. But thank you guys for it.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll move
No,
on
I
to agenda item number 2. So the mayor introduced his budget. Expecting in April, I believe, right? April 16th. So we had a lot of conversations over the past year about what the budget might look like, things that we in particular want to see invested in. So, Director Grace, I'll turn it over to you to kind of walk us through what we're seeing there. I've got my glass on, so.
Good job.
A little bit, but
generally,
go for it.
we include this in here, but generally, like, this is all the stuff that's out of our control. Right, so this is all like the salaries, vacation holiday, overtime, right? So certain fixed costs that are either gonna go up or stay level funded. You know, what's your literally zero control over this, right? This is just effect of how the city operates. Same thing with employee benefits, but it's part of the budget, right? So I put it in here just so we can kind of see it. But those are the fixed costs, and so.
But there was a decrease of $100,000 salaries. That was from
Positions, right?
Yeah, we did.
What?
Yeah, so we didn't lose any positions in our recreation centers. We defunded some positions, what we would consider in our main office staff, and consolidated, you know, as part of like the budget that was presented to us with the deficit that we started from. So at the time when it came like a little under $15 million, right? So what we did was we pivoted and we consolidated 2 positions, defunded another 2, and currently in the process of figuring out funding for those other positions. Just alternative funding, like grants and other programs to help us out with that. I think
So
we'll
total 2 positions that were.
technically 3. So an assistant athletic coordinator, a community-based organization coordinator. And then we merged the special projects and media content. And we were able to do that because the 2 positions that existed, one was a promotion. So David Onyman got promoted from that to deputy director.
Well,
sitting in the crowd.
David.
And what he did for the last like year and a half was build a lot of the systems and processes that allowed for this merger to happen. So that was pretty good. And then our media content position in the first like year or so built a lot of the social media platforms, the website, how some of our systems interact with them, and our system for how we're going to go to market and present on social media. So now it's more of a management as opposed to having to create that process. And so we're able to find a talented individual who's also sitting here with us, Lucy Rivas, who actually worked in recreation centers as well. I think he worked at Rollins, correct? And you guys met her before when you visited Rogers Recreation Center with Director Mike Holland. The way that happened, it was actually a funny story. I think, how long ago did I tell you you'd be working for me? Probably like 6, 7 months. But it was just kind of talking with people. And what I did was I actually said to a few people in recreation centers and even the staff, like, hey, like, what do you want to do? Are you going to be here in 2 years? Are you interested in, working, so not even here, but just like somewhere in the city. That's where she told me that she's getting her master's in project management and like some of the skills that she has now, and she wants to work in the community more. And she had a very unique skill set that actually just fit the role. So she was able to earn that. So I was happy to actually be able to do that.
Welcome.
So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? Like I'm able to do it because, we found, we have like really good people in the department, right? So like we're able to do these things. But the fact that we're able to do it means that, we can do more or less at times. And so that, so you never know how that's.
Any of the operations.
Yeah.
That we've worked hard to kind of build up communication and getting the word out there about the program that exists, that, we've come a long way on. Is like that, that's going to suffer through the position.
Naturally, yes, like at first, because there's a learning curve of how we have to operate going forward. I think there's enough there in terms of structure and infrastructure to be able to continue. It's just tweaking a few things with like how we do it. But I think that we're going to be good at utilizing other resources as well to be able to do that. We'll talk about it on the next page, but like you're going to see, it's not a lot in the grand scheme of things. I think we went down to like 68K for the things that we do, like programming or operate with. But I can already think of like 70,000 that we're getting from other ways to do the same things. So it's just about being creative with your partnerships and using your resources, community collaborating to be able to do that. Ideally, you want to stay level funded or get more funded, right? I don't think that was necessarily a possibility in this budget, given the challenges, but I think that we'll be able to continue to operate.
Yeah, I mean, I think board members, something, was everybody said, it was like very challenging budget year, your demands from the school that had to do that. The mayor was talking about tax increases at certain levels to be able to meet the $14 million gap that wasn't really anticipated. We understand that totally. That the settlement agreement, the settlement agreement with the schools, and so I think we're legally obligated to apply that money. And I will say, it sort of breaks my heart a little bit that we're talking about these types of cuts to the budget in the department that's already lean. And so I do think, we all need to come together and do our parts to help drive the race and build some of these gaps, whether it's fundraising, the partnerships, so some of those things we have to do. And my hope is that as we move into better budgets this next couple of years, that we need to continue to stay on top of this and advocate for those positions and that plus. Not ideal that $68,000 program, that's for sure. It's not ideal that we lose two positions in central office, so we do some central office to help manage this stuff. So I don't want to see a trend.
Yeah, it's not needed.
No, we can't afford it. This is a very lean department, under resourced for a really long time, so those cuts really hurt, so we're gonna have to. Yeah, I think be creative on this and work with the council and the administration. I would make sure that we that's where there's.
And when you get into the budget, so really like where, like, if you're talking about like impact, right, so. We wanna look at like our program expense, and a couple of like. Like the miscellaneous expense, like nobody wants that in their budget, we're told that like we don't want that. Food, housekeeping supplies and maintenance and services, right, so these are the line items that like we use. Predominantly to like manage operations, right? So when you're looking at this, a couple easy things to explain, like the med chem and supplies, we actually didn't need that much. That's really just our chlorine. And it moved to another place in someone's budget, it just didn't need to be there. So part of that amount is just something like we didn't really need. Because we can manage it off of this and it goes to public property for a different picture, right? So, so that was very easy. Our stationery, we never really got through a lot of that, in prior years. So it was an easy, like, place to say that we can have some savings. But we use that, you know, things like, you know, paper and, pens and things of that nature. Where even this year, I was able to get a significant donation for some supplies, just from things happening in the city, businesses closing down and like getting some resources over, so. Like I have, like if I needed pens for the next 2 years, I think that'd be good, right, stuff like that, but there are certain things that you order that, you wanna make sure that you have. The housekeeping.
Miscellaneous expenses, we go back to.
Yep.
Miscellaneous expenses, or is that just kind of cushion, is that what you're able to flex money?
No, that's usually what like the support fund is, but there are like, if I had some things that needed to be flexible, or we didn't have enough in, you know, one line item, we use the support fund for that. Miscellaneous is like really when something happens that like we don't necessarily have a line item for, specifically, because you can drill down on these, so when the actual budget gets released, like you drill down on it, and the council and finances asked us to identify each like thing that we pay for in the line items. It's very difficult to do that with a miscellaneous expense, to identify the miscellaneous things that you will be purchasing. But like a good example of that would be like a software item that like we didn't know that we needed. Right, we're doing a lot more with data, it wouldn't necessarily have been in our budget, but like to do things with like social media and be able to create those things, that would be something that's like miscellaneous, right? Or if we had something that we needed to purchase that we don't necessarily like purchase, there's been a couple of times due to weather events and things of that nature where we have to go to Home Depot and purchase mats or things to help with the preventing water from getting into place. So that would be miscellaneous, if we didn't have it in another line item. So it's a lot of those things that go into that. You can't justify every single thing. So some things got like taken out and put into other areas like housekeeping supplies. That's why they're state level funded, because we were able to actually say, hey, we actually do this pretty consistently and move them into housekeeping supplies, etc.
In the food budget? Talk about that a little bit.
So yeah, the food, it's hard to, so we do a lot of events where, you know, in the summer, we were paying for the food at a lot of public events. And we just don't know if that's gonna be the same. I don't know how many large public events are gonna be happening in the city, whether it be with the council or whether it be with other organizations that we would typically support. So it's just kind of anticipation of that. Like we may not be able to have as large an event that we used to have, right? But there still would be some area to be able to do this within the recreation centers.
That doesn't include the food for the children.
No, nope. That does not.
That's just like bar.
Yeah, like large part. Most of that happens like at the end of summer, right? You know, we're talking about, but
It's
yeah.
part of it.
And I'll be honest with you, it's not something that like, it's hard to highlight this, right? Like, and say, well, we have some really good people that can just make it happen anyway, but we do, right? Anthony and Danielle are an example of that, like, if we were to go back to the beginning, I want to do this because I love food, but like, I didn't pay for this, right? Like, we didn't pay for this, like, that's like going out the community engagement, right? Like, and so there's ways to make this happen, right? You know, since Ms. Nasha is standing here, like, she came to me a few weeks ago. She was like, I need to create a food pantry. Right? Like, there's gonna be, we know things are happening, we're gonna get it done.
Oh, no.
I mean. But you know, there's ways to get some of this stuff done, and so we may not be able to throw a barbecue and be, you know, like
I get
an
it.
extravagant
I think
event.
that
Yeah.
is one.
Yeah.
Wasn't like after school snacks or things. like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
it's a different pot. Okay.
Yeah.
So Director.
Yeah.
What is, so your program expenses decreasing how much?
17,000.
It's about 16.5. Yeah.
So what's the direct impact?
I didn't hear you.
What's the direct impact? Your decrease of 17.5?
Your direct impact is like some of our like official leagues that we have. Right, so we've expanded. So the reason that it was higher last year is because we expanded our program. And so we got a lot more because of that. So the reduction this year is less than the amount that increased the year before. So we're probably like netting like 20, if that makes sense, from 2 years ago. So the impact is gonna be.
But I think last year when we increased it by 50.
I mean, that's where I would push back on. Respectfully, Director, I think by us increasing, you know, 50,000, I think that has to be a baseline going forward.
I can't hear you, sorry. I really can't.
No, I'm just saying that, I think that should be our baseline going forward. I wouldn't even talk about how we increased it, because it hadn't been increased in years before that. And you know, I understand I am the only elected official on this table, so you know, I have a lot of, you know, more flexibility. What I could be saying out there,
Mhm.
you know, when you come before us and you finally make these points clear. I mean, the fact that we're having a discussion of decreasing anything in the recreation department, you know, taking personalities and people outside of it. I think it's great that you make it work, and I think you have an amazing team that is always gonna find a way. But you know, we might not be so up here in that position of cutting now, and you know, I'm scared that rules are not gonna. So that's what I said that, so.
No, I understand.
Publicly, and well, advocate for this department. That's complete.
No, 100%. I would take it.
Everybody, just so you know, the city council finance committee will be hearing the recreation department budget on May 20th, right?
Yep.
May 20th at
5:30.
5:30 at City Hall.
305.
Listening public and from the here would like to. Okay, so so I think so more specifically on program expenses. So what are you looking? What will
That we did last year? Nothing.
But the problem is, you said that you're going out and you're getting donations, right, to supplement. And so because it's cut, those donations could be going towards expanding programming even more instead of backfilling the programming that you need with the budget,
In theory, yes.
right?
Yes. I think it was, and again, this is not the way you want to talk about it. When I acted like this happened 2 years ago. Right, and so I haven't been in city government as long as a lot of people, but like this was inevitable. It happens to every city, to every budget, and so like for me, I want my money to stay the same or increase, right? That's my goal. But the way I've spoken about it the last 2 years, I've always treated it as if this already happened, and so that naturally allows you or forces you to go out there and figure out other sources of revenue. And so we have a huge project happening just coincidentally, right? Like in preparation for this. So it's not like I don't care, right? Because I do. I care about the budget, and you want to be level funded, and you want to make sure that you have the resources that you need. And to the councilman's point, yeah, I mean, it's not gonna stop me, right? Like, or us, or like, we still have a job that we do and services that we want to provide. And so, like, I can already think of, like, so let's say you thought about that as like arts program, right? If you wanted to, well, I know of more art programs that are gonna be happening in recreation centers. Like, we're gonna have more than we're gonna have more than we did last year. You didn't even talk about the one that you have coming up. I was not upset, but like, yeah, like I already know, like, we have a lot of things that are gonna happen.
Well, no, I mean, you've done a great job. I mean, we built more partnership with the recreation department the past couple of years. So that's always very good. But it's still a cut. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of this year's, the current budget, you have, do you expect there to be a surplus in the program expense line, or do you spend all of that?
We'll spend all.
So that's kind of, that we need them, really, so even though it's not a huge cut, it's still like 10% or so.
Yeah, I guess like what the main point that I wanna drive is that we know you're gonna make it work, director, but what I would like to see is you going out there and expanding programming with community partners, not filling budget gaps with community partners. Like, I want you to spend your time, working with, institutions like for the soccer league to get a program started, not having to work with an institution to try to fill the gaps in the existing program.
Well said. I agree. And then, the summer, is there another slide for this?
Well, this is the main operating. This is like where,
Yeah.
like where you saw all the cuts.
Was there also a cut to summer camps and temporary staff?
No, not the way you would understand. So we had a lot more money available in that fund because of ARPA. And we had money that, but like, if you remember 2 years ago, we had been operating in a way where the mayor said, we're not gonna rely on that. So we're not taking a hit like we anticipated. It was just, we're not gonna have the surplus of ARPA. So we've been basically running off of that premise for the last 2
Can you go
years.
back to your previous slide on salaries?
So this is not the 602.
That doesn't include any summer stuff?
No.
Or any temporary staff?
No, so, and what you're seeing, even though you saw some things go down here, if you guys knew, anyone that made $100,000 or more did not get a total increase. Anyone that was making under did. So, there's probably, most of my staff is gonna get an increase this year.
Yeah.
Which is good. So those are kind of
thing, Councilman Sanchez basically bring the budget summary book, but it looks like for seasonal expenses, the service line is what we would be $65,000. What is that? What's the service line? What's that for?
Can I see it specifically? I was gonna see it, sorry. So I don't want to take it.
What we have to do. If they're doing, do with this.
No, we can always include a picture of that in the record.
Oh, that's for referees. And yeah, so it was a service line that got put in there for what it would cost for referees. But we're gonna be good on that as well for how we're gonna manage the referees. So it's, Yeah, so that was added there specifically because we had like, remember we went in there to do, like midnight basketball, we asked to do like a summer league and stuff like that. But, yeah, and so now, we're doing a summer league again this year. We're expanding it to 10 teams, and it's gonna cost us less.
So basically the seasonal budget.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. It's the way we should have been operating, right? If that makes sense. We just don't have the influx of our.
Hold on one second. So, yeah, it's not a definite public comment yet, but I will recommend.
The line that says local 1050, that's a union, correct?
Yes,
I don't think any of those are union.
we have union staff. Well,
How many?
3 with the potential of 4.
Should that be something?
That's up to a CBA. That's not. Yeah, those things are never like really in like our control.
Okay, well, I mean, you know,
I guess that's a good opportunity to still like stay out there, like, so we have, you know, $620 million budget for the city. But 95% of it is really hard to even touch because of contractual agreements, or like the pension payment, like that has been court mandated already. What else, like benefits?
Benefits, yeah.
So-
Retirement.
So like a lot of people like, you know, just to put out there, like, good educational point of where, you know, people see the overall city budget, but what we actually really negotiate is anywhere from like 20 to 30.
it probably was this year.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, overall, there's been a lot of this, so it's not. Paragraph, there's no, so, you know, we're going to redirect our, we're going to come, yeah, on this specific budget proposal, maybe see myself get tweaked a little bit. But, you know, I think as we continue our meetings next year, it's gonna be important for us, I think, as a body, we'll sort of share on partnerships and fundraising, how we'll start to support you. The Recreation Support Fund is, you know, through the mayor's golf tournament that he hosts and a variety of other fundraisers that we can talk about this year. The director Grace and I have talked about maybe doing some citywide fundraisers. We just did a calendar for which is very successful fundraising. We do something like that citywide, but you know, we as a board, everything that's clear that helping you sort of plug in some of the gaps that are necessary with the tools and resources necessary for our rec scene program. But I would encourage everybody to take a look through the mayor's budget, which is posted online. And we kind of scroll through this, if we have any additional questions. You know, there's a public hearing on the mayor's budget on Wednesday.
Tomorrow evening,
Tomorrow evening at City Hall
correct, at 5:30.
at 5:30. So general public, anybody can go there and testify for and against any part of the budget. If folks feel strongly about the recreation part, obviously, please feel free to go and what's your opinion. Members, any other questions for the director? Okay, so with that said, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is updates on the spring program. I'll just start off by saying, the director can talk pretty regularly, but you know, it's really exciting to see the soccer program expanding and continuing to grow, which is something we haven't had in the city really ever. And it's been fairly involved for a long time, so expand citywide programming. So I think we'd be happy with the numbers and social media and whatnot. I got a chance to actually get to one of the soccer rain and the weather, and I've been my friend on the weekends, past couple of weeks. it's true of baseball, soccer, every other sport. So, Director. Next team is not there.
Before I start, I just wanted to kind of goes into the budget thing. I'll just do this quick. I just want to see if, since we are. So one of our hidden pages, just so like kind of like what we've been working on, in preparation for something like this. Anthony, Danielle, and our team have worked on like, building the first portions of the donation pages. And basically, this is the beginning stages of it, but you'll be able to go here and click on these and go in, so they'll be able to have QR codes and just like different ways to support. So with this, the collaborations and a lot of things that we're doing, we have some directors and some centers that are like really making some momentum with what is going into their support funds. And so they'll, from a recreation department standpoint, it'll be different because the budget got cut, but that's also separate from what can happen in each individual recreation center too. And so I think that we're gonna see some recreation centers to be able to do more in this upcoming year because of that. And we've been in an essential spend for a few months, right? And so that allows the recreation centers to really stack up what's in there. So you're probably gonna see a lot of program that we didn't see before, even before summer hits, because of that. So, they have been doing a lot. And I think the main office and the rec centers have been working really well together to drive that, from what we talked about. So, I think 7 rec centers have a version of this now that'll be ready to go live when we're gonna do it. So
Yeah, and before we jump into the second, maybe Director, you want to talk about some of the stuff you guys are doing here in terms of fundraising, and you find it easy, there are like supports that you guys need.
I think. I mean, it is rough in this area. It's definitely rough to. Get people to just give. We do have a lot of people that have come through here that give back, so we we always, I feel like, lean on them whenever we're hosting an event. Or anything like that, but. I don't know, I think this tool, that tool will definitely help us out. I don't know, I think people just need, I honestly think with the upgrade, it'll bring more people in here, because I feel like this, just outside of town for years has had like this thing on it. And I think if you come in here and you see the production that goes on, you know what I'm saying?
You guys engage with the local businesses in the business community for sponsorships and things like that?
It hasn't always been, like I said, we lean more on community members versus the businesses. We've had people that live on Dudley Street write us checks before we, for a business, so.
And I think a lot of times too, our donations are always after, it's more of like community prep, we have a great relationship with them, like if you notice the tables out there, they allowed us to use our tables for banquets, so we have a connection where, you know what I mean, people bring things in, even if it's not to give. You know what I mean, they are willing to lend a hand to help them function better.
Right, yeah, they also did, you just brought that up, they did, when we shut down for the flood, they did lend us their gym. So we were able to finish our basketball season off, using their gym, which was.
Are the hospitals helpful for you guys at all? Do they work with you guys? Then I know they're coming to the city for pilot agreements and whatnot.
Once upon a time, when we weren't involved in that, but we remember.
Councilwoman Harris could tell you a very good story.
Right, but once upon a time, once upon a time, we would get, I know it's like an annual chat.
Yeah.
That helped with, so, there was.
And they don't anymore. So, I know the city council often vets pilot proposals. So maybe that's one of the things you gotta think about, that we give back. They should, the hospital should support that.
Yeah. And I think, this area is gonna see, over the next like 2 years, with like the housing, with what's happening with the parking lots by the hospitals and then this renovation, coincidentally all kind of happening around the same time. I think that there's gonna be a greater opportunity. Like, there's a lot of money at those hospitals, right, that they're making, but there's also a lot of people that are not spending money here either, right? And so that's the other thing, like the economic development of this area, and if they do that, I don't know.
The building.
Yeah, they're building that down the street, yeah, so that'll be happening, so that's where you start to get that type of engagement where you can, you know, have events and things in the community where people are gonna be willing to spend money, so I think that's gonna be really good by the time this is done and that gets, like, their renovation that gets done, I think.
Well, it is one of the things that you often talk about fundraising and partnership. It's not a real, a lot of cases that oftentimes people are waiting to ask. You know, you go out there, ask them to sponsor a team for $150, we haven't been used to doing that. So for whatever reason, and if we're starting to do more of that, it'd be great when you ask people to do it. So I think we have to focus on that this year in a big way.
Yeah, so a lot of those businesses around here are supporting those little leagues too, right?
Yeah.
And so you see a lot of that, like, I'm seeing the names on the shirts and I'm like, oh, okay, I know exactly where you are, so that's good, so like, even going to those opening days, you get to see like a lot of that and attending some of the games, so I think it'll be something that we can look forward to, so.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to spring program.
All right, so last year we started our first soccer league with Providence Recreation. Last year we had the 3 divisions, so age 5 and 6, 7, 8, and then 9 and 10. We had 50 total enrollment spots. On average, we did about, I think, 35 to 40, depending on the age group. This year, we did a maximum of 80, and we had 93 registered, but this is like 5 and 6 year olds. So we're actually going through, we have to kind of like purge the list and see if we can create more slots, which is a good problem to have for this program. If you haven't been over there on a Saturday morning, it's been rainy, like that's why a lot of other things have been canceled, but this weekend, I mean, it's getting packed. It's like really good to see. We have some really great partners with Pumas FC and the Guatemala Soccer League and volunteers that come out to be able to put on that league. So
And all those registrations are online registrations, they're registered.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I just, you know, I always say those are all my rec center directors in front of us, giving it a really big push to make sure that we have online registration, give you guys the tools to push that out. So, the online registration system is really important. But hopefully improve that.
Yeah, I mean, I think like this league is just a really good example of it. You know, even with a community that could have a language barrier with us, and the majority of the kids come from bilingual homes, right? And so to be able to see that, and you know, we put out everything in, you know, in 2 languages, and even more if you just go on the website, but really good to see that. And so connecting with you know, with the soccer community has been huge. So this one, 96 total members, so 16 over for the 7 and 8 year olds. And then we didn't get as many 9 and 10 year olds. So we got 79. And I think what actually, you know, is happening is we've been out there twice, and I believe after this weekend, you know, we got a few more people that are looking to kind of be on the wait list, and either can play up or we can replace with another age group. So I think we're in a pretty good place. We started earlier planning this year, and I think next year is where we're gonna try to look to expand and create a competitive league based on this. So keep this league and maybe do one in another location where it's older, so these kids are kind of moving into it. So that would be the goal. So I'm talking with some folks about that and what that could look like. So we could run a league at, you know, maybe start at one location. And I know we'll talk at potential locations around the city to be able to do this. So that's the goal here. So, you know, I think we built a good collaboration and and a little bit of a buzz to be able to do this, that we can turn into the momentum into a, a league like we do our basketball league. We'll start smaller.
Love to see it.
So that's soccer. And realistically, it's, we were looking to increase, the goal this year was to increase enrollment, right? So do the same league, increase enrollment, we've done that. So I think we're gonna be looking at, like I said, a different style of league going on. So obviously we have the soccer league. April 4th, we had Eat, Play, Learn. So on the Eat, Play, Learn event at PCTA, 859 families attended. We got 31 survey responses that we got there, just talking about programming, things that we, should be doing with recreation. We distributed promotional materials while we were there. Before we did this, we had 2 informational sessions about the changes in what we did for summer camp this year. We were running into an issue with a lot of things about summer camp, but we weren't getting the daily attendance that we should. A lot of it being kids attending other camps or going to even our own sport camps, like at the time, or because of the value of, the camp at $5 a week. You can go on vacation. It doesn't you're not missing out on $300 a week or something like that. So in October, Ms. Nasha had a meeting at Rollins, and we got some really good feedback from all the directors. And we took a few months to present, some of the feedback to, City Hall and the folks that we work with on doing Eat, Play, Learn. And we were able to come back with, a couple of changes. So we instituted an early and late drop off with a fee so that we could prepare for it and pre-register and know what type of staff that we need. We changed it where you could attend summer camp for 1 week or all 7. So if you're gonna go on vacation, the last 3 weeks, cool, just let us know, and you attend for 4, and someone else can have the opportunity to come in for the other 3. We really did a huge push for membership this year, so anyone that signed up for camp would become a member so that we can interact with them all year. We are doing a nighttime adult swim, just so you know, because we did get that feedback last year. So we're going to be looking at 2 locations to be able to do that, as well as keeping them morning. So a few changes that we kind of made to summer, just to test it out and see how we can improve. So budget being a concern, we wanted to make sure that, last year, I think we had, and I hate to say this, too many kids at certain locations. We had 110 at one, where it was really difficult to manage. But we were able to, expand due to some of the ARPA funding in our season, like we talked about. A lot of that went into activating for heat advisory and longer days. So that's kind of what we use that for. So we're looking to be, we're going to have more campers than we did 3 or 4 years ago, but it's going to be down to a reasonable amount that we were on average, because there was a lot that, some centers just, you don't want to say no to kids, but 110 and 1 was a lot. So we adjusted those numbers, and we're going to figure out how we can add more to an appropriate.
Well, I think for our June meeting will be our last meeting before we break for summer. We'll break for July and August, back in September. But I think for the June meeting, if we could have just a general overview of all the camps and how many people are signed up for. That'd be great.
Yeah. A couple other things that we did this spring already. Brown Health, a taste of African heritage. This is a program that happened at West End. This is also a program that's done by different hosts at Rollins, but just introducing as a highlighted event this spring. Brown Health, a healthy eating with kids. So we did that at the Johnson Recreation Center at the Resilience Hub. So teaching kids how to eat healthy. There's been a number of programs. It's a lot to list, but we have a few things that are going to be coming up. Battistini We just ordered the equipment to do swim lessons in their own swim program there. So we're gonna be starting that. Davey Lopes has an art project that's coming, that's not just like Anthony's Art in the Park, but he'll be collaborating with an artist and bringing other recreation centers in. A lot of the recreation centers are doing more collaborative events. So Anthony and Danielle mentioned the fact that they're doing like girls basketball, but they didn't mention that they specifically reached out to other recreation centers to not just grow girls basketball for Davey Lopes. And they said they'll send them back to their centers, but it was a huge intentional push to be able to do that, to collaborate. And we have some other centers doing things like that as well. Bocce's gonna be coming up again, right? And so we talked about that in the past. So a lot of our centers compete in a bocce league. The mayor's been there a couple of times. Invite anyone to come and play. It actually really does get competitive, and our kids got really good. So it's something to look out for. So it's gonna be again a really good spring, you know, for us. You know, in recreation. The other thing I would mention just before we go there, I did mention like our revenue generating opportunities. We're looking to pilot a program this summer. We're waiting for the funding to come through, but one of the issues mentioned and feedback that we got from the directors about summer camp is that we go from age 5 to age 12, and then you can start working at 14. So our 13-year-olds are left to either just kind of hang around, volunteer, etc. So we're working on a program to help our kids like be business builders. So they're going to be like learning how to build like online stores, learning accounting principles, how merchandise and online sales work. And they're going to be doing that in a program for us that we're going to pilot this summer. So if we all cross our fingers that that funding comes through, it's going to be a really good program that we're going to have this summer, which will lead into those real merchandise stores. So we got a lot on the, on the docket here, but definitely
merch.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, that's the goal. So a lot of hoops to jump through, but we're at the finish line.
Yeah, I mean, it's been kind of crazy, but we go toward everything. One of the things we'll talk about is the fall program already.
Yeah, that's actually, and talking about that, we're working on our calendar, right? I've been really pushing this to all the directors and everyone about like our calendar, and we need to know about the events and use our systems to be able to tell us about this. But we have to kind of do the same thing, and so we're going to try to put out our fall calendar like right when summer starts. So everything that's coming for the fall and where it's going to happen, where you can sign up and then do it again, for winter, spring and summer. So be at least 3 months ahead, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
To identify.
Figure it out. Yeah. That you spread on social media. That's always really helpful. All right, well, Director, thank you as always, and everybody in the department for all that you do every day. Really glad to see everything expanding. It shows there's a demand out there for it. Something to continue to grow. That said, we will open it up for public comment. Any member of the public would like to say anything?
What's she looking over there? We're looking at you.
All right, that said, I will actually, before we thank you to our clerks always for traveling with us to all the rec centers. We appreciate you guys and all the work that you do, and to our law department. Thing, and there's always sort of like to travel out for meetings, but as you can see, it's very valuable. So we appreciate it. Yeah. Get to us sometime.
Oh, I'm sorry, because I know we're about to wrap up. It's good to mention that so that everyone knows. We did mention the projects that are happening, Davey Lopes, but we've been seeing some recreation center closes, right? And like, for example, Zucolo is closed right now. So Rollins, Zucolo, Igliosi, Davey Lopes, Vincent Brown, Jocelyn are all getting HVAC upgrades. And so leading into the summer, we're gonna be doing a lot of work for 2 phases. So one, laying the duct work, and then after the summer camps, then finishing the project so that they'll be new and improved, like, you know, heat and air conditioning, and a good majority of West End as well, and, you know, in these centers. So, that's gonna, you know, be complicated to deal with, but like if you see some of the closures, it's because there's a significant investment into, you know, into the spaces. There's also some wall padding, bleachers getting done, right? Zupolo just got painted, new floor, so there's a lot of things that have happened recently, but, you know, as we continue to make the
That's
improvements.
some good minimum needs when you're.
Yeah, yeah, so.
So, we'll take it. All right, that said, is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
By Dr. Sanders, second.
Second.
Yeah, all in favor? That concludes all.